The origin of the English language. Where does English come from? To start with, the British Isles were once attached by land to Europe. On the highest part of this land is actually where we have the Channel Tunnel today. Mesolithic tribes crossed the land bridge into the British Isles and settled in all corners. At the end of the Ice Age, we experienced the Great Flood, which made the British Isles, islands, no longer attached by land to Europe. This made Europe what it looks like today. A long time later, we find a group called the Celts. The Celts were present all over Europe as an Indo-European people. They moved to the British Isles by boat, and we can find them today in Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Brittany in France. The next group to arrive in the British Isles were very present in Europe also. These were the Romans. The Romans' arrival in Britain actually gives us the name Britain, coming from Britannia. After a few centuries, the Roman Empire collapsed, and then the British Isles experienced migration from different regions of northern Europe. The Jutes from northern Denmark, they came by boat and settled this region of southern England. The second and perhaps most well-known group of people to come from southern Denmark, northern Germany, were the Angles. They crossed the sea and settled a large part of eastern England, and they gave us the name England. It comes from England, which was the pronunciation at the time, and it's the land of the Angles. We see this in other languages too. Angleterre in French, Angle, land, exactly the same. Inglaterra in Spanish, the same idea. The third migration from Europe came from northwestern Germany. They were the Saxons. They settled this region of England, and combined with the Angles, this is where we get the term Anglo-Saxon. So with the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes, we still had, of course, the Celts in Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. We have another group called the Picts. And when we combine all these groups, we have what are called the Ancient Britons, coming again from Britannia. After a few centuries, these groups decided to merge and create their own kingdoms within what we would call today England. These kingdoms were Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, Essex, Kent, Sussex, and Wessex. Later, all of these kingdoms merged to form England. Before, during, and after the unification of the kingdoms of England, we had visitations from another group, also from Denmark, and Norway as well, and these were the Vikings, potentially the most infamous of all of the migrations to England. Eventually they made a nation within England, which we call the Danelaw, or the Law of the Danes, and their languages of course also merged with the languages that were present with the ancient Britons. This is important because these groups all come from a similar region, and their language comes from the same root in Germanic languages. Interestingly, this dividing line is roughly where the accents dramatically change from southern England to northern England. It's mostly to do with the people who settled originally in each area, and the accents in England are famously very, very different by region. Around the same time, the Vikings settled a region in northern France, which today we call Normandy. The name Normandy comes from Norman, which is the shortened form of Norseman, which just means Northman. So when the Vikings settled in Normandy, similar to in England, their language merged with the French and the local people. Famously, the Normans then come to England in 1066, potentially the most famous year in British history, and very important for understanding the English language. This is the last time that anyone came to conquer England, but the language journey did not stop here. We still see today, in modern English, a lot of old French vocabulary, sometimes that changed in French, sometimes that they no longer use in French, but that we still use in English today. And when we look at the percentages of how much English is made up of other languages, we can see that it's a very, very large portion from French, mostly from Old French, and Viking French, if we can call it that. Perhaps surprisingly much more than Germanic languages, even though we're really made up of Germanic peoples. A large portion of Latin in the English language also, but not so much from the Roman Empire. It came a little bit later. This we will look at in part 2 of the origins of the English language.